Hello students, welcome back to Shiv Physical Science Zone. Today we are going to learn and practice 4 important assertion and reasoning questions based on the concept of changes around us and physical and chemical changes. Assertion and reasoning questions are very important because they do not simply test whether you remember an answer, they test whether you understand the concept and can connect to two scientific statements logically. In each question, we have two statements, an assertion and a reason, for which we decide whether the assertion is true or false. Then we must check whether the reason is true or false. Finally, we have to decide whether the reason actually explains the assertion. In today's 4 questions, we will discuss interesting examples such as evaporation, glucose dissolving on the tongue, sublimation of naphthalene balls, and formation of paneer from milk. So, do not just look at the correct option. Listen carefully to the explanation, understand the science behind it, and learn how to solve any similar assertion and reasoning question on your own. So, let us begin with our first question. See, the first question is conversion of liquid state to vapor state is evaporation. This is the first statement, that is assertion statement. Reason for it is classification of physical and chemical changes can be done on the basis of change in state. So these are the two statements they have given. First we have to check the first statement, as well as next we have to check the second statement. What is the first statement? Conversion of liquid to vapor is evaporation. Yes, it is called evaporation at any temperature. In generally we have discussed in our class. So this option is correct. Evaporation is the process in which the liquid changes into vapor slowly at any temperature below its boiling point. So what is the reason for it? Classification of physical and chemical changes can be done on the basis of change in state. Reason is also true. Okay, so if a change occurs in a state like solid to liquid or liquid to gas without forming a new substance, it is a physical change. If a new substance is formed, it is a chemical change. So change in state helps us classify the changes. If in change in state we can decide whether the new substance is formed or not formed. So both assertion and reasoning are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So the correct option is A. Go for second one. The assertion is our tongue feels cold when we place some glucose on it. See, when we touch through the hand glucose, you can't feel coolness. Our hand doesn't feel coolness of glucose, but our tongue feels coolness of glucose, right? Reason: a change involving release of heat is an endothermic change. So there is, our tongue releases heat when it touches the glucose. Glucose receives the heat and convert into liquid state. Okay, our tongue loses heat, that is why it feels cool. So assertion is our tongue feels cooled when we place some glucose on it. This is true. When glucose is placed on the tongue, it dissolves by taking heat from the tongue. How glucose is dissolving there? It is receiving heat from the tongue and it is dissolving. Because of this, the tongue loses the heat and we feel cool. What about reason? A change involving the release of heat is an endothermic change. Endothermic and exothermic. Exothermic is heat exchange. Okay, so endothermic change. This is true. In an endothermic change, heat is absorbed. Okay, heat is absorbed from the surroundings or from our body. In this case, from tongue, the glucose is receiving heat. Okay, so that is why tongue is feeling cool and the glucose getting dissolved by receiving heat. Therefore, the change that causes this is called an endothermic reaction. Both assertion and reasoning are correct. So, the option is A. Next one, assertion. Naphthalene balls are kept in open air in order to maintain its state. The next reason is the process of conversion of solid to liquid is sublimation. So, the reason is correct here. The process of conversion of the statement of the reason is correct. Naphthalene balls are kept in open air in order to maintain its state. See what happens actually, naphthalene balls changes directly from solid to vapor. So, that process of conversion of solid state to liquid is not sublimation, it is solid state to vapor. So, the reason is false. Here solid to liquid they have written. So, reason is false here. Okay. In open air, the vapor escapes into the atmosphere, so more solid changes into vapors. So, naphthalene does not remain in solid state for a longer time. So, open air, the naphthalene escapes more, and in closed air, it disappears slowly. So, in order to maintain its state, it should, here the correct option is assertion is true and the reason is false. The reason is false. The reason false because it is converting from solid to liquid. But in case of assertion, naphthalene balls are kept in open air in order to maintain its state. So, why we keep the naphthalene balls in the cloths in the open air itself, so that it gives freshness to the cloths, and even it does not allow cockroaches like that in order not to come. Okay, so here the assertion is correct and the reason is wrong. The reason is false. And the last one, formation of paneer. Paneer from milk is irreversible. So, this is the assertion. We all know it. When milk converts into paneer, you cannot get it back. Getting back to the paneer. So, assertion is true. Okay. Next, paneer can be easily converted back into milk. This is false. Reason is false. So, the correct option is assertion is true but the reason is false. The answer is C. Directly we know it. There is no need to discuss regarding this. Okay. So, likewise you have to answer this kind of questions. Thank you children. We meet in the next class. Bye.